morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, September 11th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is, oh my goodness, we love to see this card starting our day today. Beautiful energy coming through right now with our 2 of Cups. Partnership is on the table. And what is really important and valuable right now around this point of partnership is it is based on equality. There's a lot of attention that is effectively being paid right now into the partnerships that feel equal give and take. This has been a lot of the work that we saw that was being identified in the retrograde period coming into a point of fruition. So this potentially mean that we're seeing some potential activity here that is moving in a more positive direction than what we have been seeing prior to this point, exiting the retrograde period. This, again, as it relates to the energies that are in partnership right now, this makes a lot of sense as to what we identified, because while we identified yesterday for the energy that was in divine union or partnership, while there was some situations or circumstances that were requiring a level or degree of compromise, there is an equal give and take that is occurring here. This could be a lot of that productive energy that was spent right now in terms of coming up with ideas or solutions to clear up or move through the disparity between what the masculine energy was feeling was a comfort level, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender but what you feel most aligned to, versus the comfort level of the feminine emotionally, because we did see that there was some disparity there. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership, this is also looking like very productive energy today, at least coming into a state or understanding of where both energies are so that you can figure out a more effective way to go forward. For some of you, you will identify that yesterday was a release process, letting go of situations or circumstances that you may have been still feeling somehow energetically connected to from the past, but that were carrying too much grief and fear. This is speaking a lot to the fact that you're seeing a lot of success in this area, particularly if you are the feminine doing this work to shed this grief and to come into a state of easement that is allowing for better partnership opportunities going forward. For some of the energy right now as it relates to even past partnerships, this could be a moment that either, again, you are shedding those situations and circumstances from the past to allow you to move forward into new partnerships at this time, or you are finding that point of being able to assess and understand, weigh and balance the risk versus the reward of coming back into past partnerships that is also allowing a point of easement. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Second card we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread is the Star, and we also love to see these cards in combination. So what have we been seeing in the cards over the last few days? So specifically, one of the things that we have been seeing that the feminine energy has been trying to do right now that has been creating a bit of a hurdle or difficulty was shedding a lot of those doubts and griefs and fears, potentially even past traumas that were keeping the feminine bound or kind of feeling like they were held to a certain degree in terms of their own level of confidence as it relates to moving into partnership going forward. Yesterday, we saw that there was a lot of that release energy coming into the collective point. This is what's allowing the feminine energy to move forward from a state or space of allowing oneself a point of vulnerability, being able to be one's own authentic self. For some of the collective right now, this is the result of shedding and coming into that point of easement as it relates to any past karmic energy that you have been carrying that has been creating this level or degree of weight or fear prior to this point. For the other part, this is a moment that the feminine energy is effectively opening up right now, potentially to some of those offers or opportunities from the past that were coming forward to them, being able to balance and weigh, find that point of evenness between their own doubts and fears and an effective path that is being presented to them at this time that is allowing them some sense of confidence that there will be an easement point going forward. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in divine partnership, this is that point of compromise that is leading to a space or place of the feminine feeling more agreeable or able to really be their most authentic expression of self. Because we did identify that a lot of the difficulties, even in the partnership energy right now, had to do with the feminine energy's own comfort level. This is saying today that even in the partnerships, there is going to be this point of compromise and adjustment that is going to lead lead the feminine feeling this sense of stability in being their own authentic, open expression of self. For masculine, you could be potentially identifying this right now in the feminine energy that you're working to come into partnership with that at this time. That again, there is this point of easement that you're seeing that is feeling like it is allowing it a degree of level of easement going forward. So we love to see this across all of the energy right now, because one of the things that we're identifying right now for the masculine energy is potentially, even depending on what's resulting right now from the feminine, you recognize that they're coming from a genuine, authentic place, which is something that in a way feels like a furtherment of a partnership situation or scenario, even if you're not necessarily in union at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, center card for our 5-card spread for today is, oh my goodness, this is beautiful energy today. This is some of that equality that we want to see right now as it relates to the masculine and feminine energy. Because as we see, there is something here, and this will speak very directly to the energies that feel like they are in some level or degree of partnership at this moment, particularly for divine partnership energy. This is that moment of compromise that is allowing for a productive path forward. Feminine energy is feeling like they are coming from and finding the comfort and safety in being their full authentic expression of self. Why does feminine feel like that? Because something about the partnership energy is showing the fact that feminine energy stated a point of difficulty. They stated something that they were not uncomfortable with, or that masculine energy in partnership has effectively adapted to that point. They did what was necessary around their own situation or circumstance to try to amend for that for the feminine, and it is allowing for an easement going forward here. Masculine, to your degree, what we're seeing in partnership is, while we saw that there was some level or degree of disappointment, a hurdle that had to be breached yesterday as it relates to coming into compromise with feminine energy, you're still effectively feeling a level or degree of security in this, because you're feeling the effect of having this energy around you as you do so. This collaborative energy will be very positive right now for the partnered energies. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is also feeling like a lot of productivity going forward. And this is either going to be related to past partnerships or the opportunity and ability to move forward with confidence and a level of degree at this time. Because what we did see was yesterday was a point of easement in terms of identifying that path moving forward at this time for the masculine and feminine energy that had some level or degree of offers that were being put forth. For masculine, this is that point of security and stability that you're feeling right now, that there's something about seeing the fact that the feminine energy is coming from a space of authenticity that is allowing you to have some movement as it relates to partnerships going forward. This was for the masculine energy. You'll recall what I identified for masculine energy that was experiencing any level of degree of feminine energy giving any point of complaint or anxiety or fear, utilizing that not as a point of holding to your own grudge or holding to your own sense of frustration, but using that to a certain level of degree as a productive level of compromise, potentially finding here some solution that is deepening the level of stability and support that you can bring forth to the feminine at this time. Feminine, for your part, this has a lot to do, if you're not in partnership right now, with coming into a state of easement going forward, surrendering and letting go of some of those doubts and fears that you were carrying up until this point that is now allowing you a level of degree of either opening oneself back up to past situations or circumstances that are opening opportunities to you at this time, or simultaneously allowing that sense of letting go, shedding that doubt, that grief of the past that may have been holding you in some kind of freeze mentality that is now leaving you more effectively feeling stable to accept new opportunities in terms of partnership going forward. Now, 4th card that we are seeing right now in our 5-card spread for today is Judgment in its reversal. What is bringing all of this about right now? It is that reconsideration point. This is a point that we saw that a lot of perspective was changing yesterday as it relates to situations and circumstances around the mutual energy. For both masculine and feminine, we see that this is occurring right now. For masculine, what you are potentially seeing right now with the feminine is some of this sea change in action. You potentially are witnessing right now with the feminine energy energy something that is allowing them or helping you see that they're coming from a space or place of authenticity. This is what is deepening some of these partnership potentials at this time. Because for the masculine energy that is recognizing this is a point of recognizing that the feminine energy that is communicating to you in this degree is allowing themselves a level of degree of authenticity at this moment that is allowing productive ground for you to build upon. So even for the energy that's not in partnership today, particularly for the masculine, this is something that is allowing you a new level of degree of confidence that there may be something productive that can happen between these moments right now. For feminine energy, this is that point of reconsideration that you are effectively taking as it relates to masculine energy at this time. Because what we saw, if you're not in partnership, for the feminine, a lot of the work coming out of this Venus in retrograde cycle had to do with allowing oneself a level of degree of finding a way to feel comfortable again, to be able to be open and honest while also learning the lessons of the retrograde period, how to maintain healthy boundaries. Feminine energy is now effectively navigating that point, utilizing that point of reconsideration to really help the feminine identify and see whether the masculine energy is willing to make compensations or compromises to allow the feminine energy to feel this level or degree of easement. For the feminine energy that was not seeing this but still feeling a lot of connection to past partnerships or past situations from the past that felt like you were being limited or blocked to some capacity or degree, it's this point of recognition that is creating a reorientation point in your own identity in terms of identifying what masculine stable energy looks like at this moment. This is what is allowing you to shed some of this energy from the past as you try to potentially move into new partnership opportunity. For some of the feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is potentially seeing some of that energy from the past coming forward in a much more stable way that is giving you this opportunity of reconsideration. While for other energy right now, this is that moment of releasing any of that energy from the past to allow the possibility of new partnership to move forward at this time with a manifestation that you're working towards what stable masculine energy looks like, and recognizing that you did not have this in the past, therefore you can release it. While for masculine and feminine energy in partnership, this is that moment of compromise that is effectively allowing that path or degree that's creating a point of success going forward. It is requiring some recalibration, but being able to identify the ability to recalibrate in this way is almost fortifying the situation and circumstances around you and this energy, as opposed to creating a sense of opposition. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, fifth card we are seeing in our 5-card spread for today is... we have here the beautiful 6 of Pentacles in its upright. Reciprocity, equal give and take. All of this coming through as the signs of stability at this moment, even in the ways and spaces right now that are considering or requiring some recalibration. Because even if there is some recalibration that's occurring here, it's a recognition that both energies are trying to give forth to something as well as they possibly can at this time. For masculine, this is making it easier if you're in partnership at this moment to effectively make some of these adjustments, because you're immediately getting back the reward for doing so. What is the reward that masculine energy is receiving right now if you're in partnership? By making some points of accommodation or reconsideration, you're almost immediately benefiting from the fact that you see that it has created a state or place in the feminine energy that is helping them be able to be more open and authentic to you at this time. You're feeling and seeing this in real time, hence fortifying the partnership. For feminine, this is the same. You're seeing the fact that the masculine or energy around you right now has this ability and degree of recalibration. This recalibration point is also what is fortifying your own security in partnership at this moment as you go forward. While for the masculine and feminine energy at this time that is not in partnership, this is showing that there's still going to be a lot of productivity as it relates to partnership going forward today, because what we're really seeing here is feminine and masculine energy are feeling a level or degree of confidence in terms of where they find themselves at this point. Masculine energy, even if you're not in partnership right now, you may have been identifying that there's been a level or degree of a sea change as it relates to the feminine energy that's around you at this time. But it's also recognizing that this isn't something that just kind of happened out of the blue, that it required a level and degree of accommodation to be reached between what you are helping the feminine energy recognize and identify is the stability and the support that you can basically provide the feminine to allow them to feel this degree and level of being their most authentic expression of self. While for feminine, it is this moment of shedding those fears from the past, coming into security with one's own self. And that has to do with a lot of that release process that we saw yesterday, that is either allowing you to come back into partnership with past energy that you're now seeing is able to come forward with this new level and degree of stability, or simultaneously shed some of that past energy that was holding you back or creating these walls around you to a certain extent so that you can move into better partnership going forward. Beautiful, productive cards that we are seeing today. Let's get some clarification on these cards as we go forward right now. Clarification between our Two of Cups in combination with our Star card. So what we're really seeing right now is feminine energy is feeling a lot of this heart opening today. What happens when feminine energy releases a lot of doubt, releases a lot of anxiety, releases a lot of grief from the past? Feminine energy comes into a space of feeling like they can be their most authentic expression of self, hence allowing for new partnership potential. This is either past partnerships that they're recognizing that there has been effectual change enough that's building their own confidence at this moment, or feminine energy releasing any of those past contracts or those past situations that they may have been feeling bound to some degree that is now allowing them to go forward with a stronger sense of self. Clara, for masculine, you are effectively seeing this at this time, that there's something around you right now with the feminine energy that is allowing them this level of degree of confidence as they go forward from this point. This is also allowing a degree and ability right now for new partnerships to potentially happen. For masculine energy that has been going forward towards past feminine energy with some new stability and some new offers, this is recognizing that your own ability to adapt and to find the feminine where you need to find them and to provide that stability and security is what is allowing the feminine energy to come into this state of easement. This isn't something that you just stumbled upon. This is something that we see you've been working towards. And you are identifying that it is having an effect and impact. While for the masculine energy that is moving right now into new partnership, you may be seeing some of this change now in the feminine energy. And for this part, it may feel like a little bit more of a surprise because we see here that you're recognizing that there's some level of degree of security that the feminine is moving into right now as they shed some of their own doubts and fears. While for masculine and feminine energy that's already in partnership right now, this is feeling a lot of the stability of the partnership at play coming into action. A lot of the work that was potentially done yesterday has reinforced or reinforce the stability of the feminine at this time, which is allowing for better partnership energy going forward, even if there are some accommodations that need to be made. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Swords. And we love to see this right now because we're almost seeing that this is immediately creating an invigoration point for masculine energy. These are two energies that are responding to each other very, very quickly right now. Masculine right now, what we're really seeing is there is a point of confidence that you yourself are also getting right now because you are identifying and seeing the fact that the feminine energy is in this degree of potentiality at this point. There's a point right now of seeing the feminine energy being at this open, authentic expression of self that is almost reinforcing and reinvigorating your movement. We're almost seeing here, especially for the energy that is not in partnership, there might be a lot of excitement that the masculine energy is effectively feeling at this time because we understand that what the masculine has been seeing up until this point has been a large degree of resistance from the feminine energy that they've been trying to work and come into partnership with. This is taking a lot of effort to get to this point is what we're really seeing. And immediately recognizing and feeling the fact that there has been a bit of this change that's occurred has almost reinforced and re-energized the masculine energy. For energies that's not in partnership at this time, feminine energy might be a little even surprised by how swiftly the masculine energy moves forward right now, were you to kind of come forward in this space of vulnerability at this time. For masculine, this is entirely why, because this is something that you potentially feel like you've taken a lot of work to reach at this time, and you're almost potentially worried that you're going to miss this opportunity with the feminine that is coming forward in this degree. And so you're just moving in as quickly as you can right now to reinforce and re-encourage any type of this partnership energy that we're seeing here. While for the masculine and the feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is seeing the energy of the dual confidence of the energies working in collaboration together. There were accommodations that needed to be made. Masculine energy effectively may have felt like a point of disappointment, but they were willing to make those accommodations and adjustment, immediately leading to feminine being in a sense or state of deeper security. And this is building a higher degree or level of stability going forward in the partnership. Now, continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our star energy in combination with our King of Pentacles. We love to see these two cards at play today because what we're really identifying right now is feminine is moving into a deeper state of confidence, security, being their most authentic expression of self, and trying to effectively move today in that flow state. Masculine, we are seeing that you are also doing that, though this is going to feel like a little bit more of that internal work. You are feeling some level or degree of stability right now as it relates to potentially some breakthrough that you're having right now around feminine energy. What we're really identifying right now for the masculine is a lot of your focus is towards a feminine energy that you would see is in this vibration. You could be even noticing or feeling a level of degree of easement as it relates to the feminine energy's own security or openness around you right now, which is potentially even goading you forward to a lot of like rapid activity towards this energy at this time. This will feel a little bit more like sedentary, if you will, for the energy that's already in partnership at this moment, because what this is really doing is this is empowering potentially masculine energy to move forward on their own things, on their own path right now, as feminine energy also does so, feeling the support and security of the partnership at this moment, even through some points of reconsideration or accommodation. May I please have one card to clarify right now? That's more than one. I got two here. Clarification, and we love these two cards popping out together. What do we see coming through right now? We are seeing a lot of investment right now in new opportunities, new possibilities, and also a lot of care and consideration coming through right now in what feels like it is best for the self at this moment. A lot of this emotional and spiritual health that is coming forward at this time for both masculine and feminine energy. Masculine and feminine energy that is going through this process right now, we are seeing that this is that moment that you're feeling that sense of empowerment from the energetic union, especially if you're in partnership today. This is talking about a lot of productivity, especially in divine union partnerships, because what we really see is the fact that masculine energy is effectively bringing in a lot of stability and support to the feminine energy. And in kind, they are receiving the support of the feminine energy as it relates to situations and circumstances that feel very emotionally and spiritually fulfilling for the masculine. Feminine, you are also feeling this stability and support from the masculine energy right now, which is also overfilling your cups as well, which is leading to states and spaces right now that a lot of this is going to allow you to go forth from this time to really be able to do the things that you need to do today that feel restorative to the self, but also allow you to seek out those new opportunities that you want to invest your time, effort, and energy in. A lot of productivity coming into space right now, particularly for the energies that are in union and partnership. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership or union, this is still looking like a lot of productivity that is coming forward today, because the feminine energy has done a lot of work up until this time in releasing any doubts, any fears, any anxieties. That change of perspective was what was needed, and this is allowing a bit of that relinquishing process and that release process to occur, that is allowing the feminine energy to focus on what feels stable for them at this moment and also what feels emotionally supportive. If feminine energy was being offered something right now that did not feel like it created or fulfilled or checked these two boxes, feminine energy is effectively releasing it at this time. And this is what is allowing a certain degree of the feminine energy to feel like they can be their most authentic, vulnerable expression of self, hence allowing some degree or ability for partnership to come back into play right now. Potentially not even in the realms of partnership right now, if feminine energy is not in partnership at this moment, but almost a concentration on their own productivity and sense of self-care towards manifesting masculine energy that is able to fulfill or check these boxes. While for masculine energy right now that is simultaneously going through this as well, we see that this is also a moment that you are working right now on understanding and identifying what you need to give forth to feminine right now that allows them that degree of feeling like they can be their most authentic expression of self. What are those things that you need to offer feminine at this time? You need to offer them situations and circumstances that feel stable, and you also need to be there from an emotional and spiritually supportive environment. This was the lock that needed to be picked here in order to get the feminine energy into the space of being able to be vulnerable and open. Masculine energy, you are also feeling that security and degree of stability at this time because you are recognizing that the feminine energy is feeling more open, more confident as you go forward from this point. And this is also allowing a level or degree of feeling your own point of easement as it relates to going forward at this time. For some of the energy right now, this is that release process that we saw as it relates to situations or circumstances that we're feeling somewhat open-ended. Feminine energy has effectively just shed any of those doubts and fears at this time. Masculine, you are also potentially recognizing the feminine energy is coming forward in this vibration in one form or another right now. And this is giving you some sense of confidence and security that you're going to be taking advantage of at this time, potentially in very big ways. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in combination with our Judgment card in its reversal. For masculine energy right now, what we're really identifying is there is some moment right now that is requiring a level or degree of recorrection. Masculine energy, you're really focusing on what makes you feel stable at this time. Much like feminine right now, there's a concentration and a level of degree of stability that you're feeling right now from feminine energy that you recognize is in this state of openness and authenticity to you. You may have had to make some recalibration points up until this point to reach this level of degree with feminine at this time. But what we're really identifying at this moment is this is what's allowing the state or place of easement. This is creating a level of degree of confidence for masculine energy right now that's experiencing this because you're seeing the fact that your ability to adapt is having almost immediate results. While for feminine energy right now, this is that point of reconsideration that you effectively are having right now as it relates to your own perception of what a stable masculine energy looks like at this time. Because what we're really identifying as feminine energy is having a moment where they identify that adaptability is very critical to them in terms of identifying whether a masculine energy is stable and supportive right now. You will recognize that one of the challenges between the masculine and the feminine energy prior to this point has been the fact that masculine energy tried to come forward to feminine in some way that they thought was stable. And feminine had to effectively articulate to masculine that what they thought was stable did not feel stable to the feminine. Masculine energy either adapted to that, made the accommodations, made the adjustments, heard what the feminine energy was trying to articulate in them clarifying those points. And feminine energy is now feeling doubly reinforced in terms of the stability and the security of a masculine energy that is approaching them at this time. Simultaneously, feminine not seeing that adaptability in the masculine energy to accommodate for the feminine needs at this time is what is also creating a point of release right now for feminine around masculine energy that doesn't show that adaptability to do so. This is the barometer that feminine energy is using at this time, and even recognizing this barometer to a certain degree is what's allowing the feminine energy to feel more open and vulnerable at this time, because this is a feminine energy that's effectively recognizing that they need to address masculine energy in a way that they can articulate why they're not necessarily accepting anything that's coming towards them at this time in order to find more productive outcomes. So even now we're seeing the fact that the feminine energy is going through a bit of a valuable lesson that was still being carried on from the retrograde period. For masculine and feminine energy right now that's in partnership or union, this could be some of that deep valued lesson that you're learning at time right now. The ability of both energies to have some point of easement, to have some point of compromise, to be able not necessarily to just come into a space of saying one person gets to decide something, but having some of that adaptability that is really empowering the connection at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Pentacles. And we love to see this because what this really means, and we identified this in terms of what we saw that the partnered energies are doing right now that is allowing so much of this security to come into play. As we identified with the masculine and feminine energy in union right now, or in divine partnership, there was a point of compromise that needed to be reached. Masculine may have even felt a little bit of disappointment as it relates to the point of compromise. But Masculine, you're almost immediately seeing the results of taking some of that compromise energy upon yourself, having to push something a bit further out into the future that is almost having immediate positive results in the present context. And this is creating that ability or degree. And feminine simultaneously is seeing your own adaptability to doing so. And it is further opening them up in this space of being more open, being more adaptable as well. This is building on something right now. This is feeling that mutual ability to grow towards something right now that is empowering all energies involved, particularly in divine partnership, because you're putting, to a certain extent, your time, your effort, and energy right now, not just in your own self, but what you are growing in partnership with one another. It's reinforcing, it's creating something greater than the sum of the two energies combined. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is also that feeling about having that slow growth potential here. For masculine, one of the things that you may be identifying right now as it relates to feminine energy that you're trying to come into partnership or union with is the fact that if this energy, if you're not necessarily in partnership or union with this energy right now, you're recognizing and identifying the fact that the feminine energy is open and available to you. They're coming forward from a space or place of openness and authenticity. That is further creating a point of empowerment. It's creating a minute that feels like an immediate rush of energy, because what you're really identifying is there's still something here. There's something here that can be grown. The fact that the feminine energy is coming through to you in that way is giving you that level or degree of hope in terms of what can come forward at this time. What we're really seeing is the masculine that is identifying this right now in the feminine may be trying to move very quickly towards this feminine energy, not effectively wanting to lose the ground that they've effectively worked so hard to build, and trying to come into the space of the feminine energy being open and available to what they're effectively offering them at this time. Even still, the masculine energy recognizes that there's something here that is going to require a level or degree of patience. And we see here that masculine energy, something that could be feeling a little frustrating at this time, is while you're feeling a lot of activity and movement that you want to rush forward, you're also feeling the care and degree of recognizing that there's something that you have to grow slowly here, that you don't necessarily want to rush something too much. So this is some of that push-pull that the masculine energy may be feeling today as it relates to new opportunities of the feminine energy becoming more open and available to you at this time. Feminine, for your part, this is potentially seeing this in the masculine energy, seeing that factor, that degree, maybe even being a little surprised about the fact that you're coming forward from a space of authenticity, and the masculine energy, even if you're not in partnership at this moment, is moving towards you with a lot of rushed activity. But we also see here that you are trying to mitigate that as best as you are able, because feminine energy is looking for a slowness to a certain degree that is still not necessarily matching the masculine's own eagerness around some situations or circumstances. Feminine energy that is not in partnership right now is recalibrating to a certain extent some of that speed that they're identifying with the masculine, building that level of degree of saying there's no reason to rush things, as it were. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Judgment card in its reversal in combination with our Six of Pentacles. So again, there's something here that is showing a level of degree of something being put forward at this time, some level or degree of reciprocity that is thus creating a moment of reconsideration. This is almost potentially having a reconsideration point that's immediately allowing for something that feels like it is more has a lot more reciprocity going forward. So for the masculine and the feminine energy that is in partnership, this is that adaptability that we saw over the last few days coming into immediate fruition. Recognizing the ability and degree to be able to make changes is what's allowing for better partnership going forward. Thank you for the gift. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is that identification point in witnessing whether energy is feeling like it is reciprocal to you. For feminine, there was a moment that was going through here that feminine had to effectively really kind of halt the masculine and say, I'm not necessarily comfortable with what you are offering me. Articulating upon that specifically to see if the masculine energy could come into a state or place of making some further adaptability. For the masculine that was able to do that right now, we're seeing the fact that it's almost immediately paying dividends in terms of what you're getting back from feminine. For other parts of the feminine energy, if you weren't able to identify that from past connections that you were holding on to, it was that point of recognition The fact that that masculine energy was never able to effectively compromise with you, that is now allowing for some of that shedding like energy. It's allowing for some of that release, because it's effectively saying that the feminine is affirming the fact that they're only looking for situations and circumstances going forward, that they identify that there is going to be this equal give and take that allows for a degree of adaptability. It is effectively recontextualizing some of the experiences the feminine was holding on to in the past. And that's what's allowing the feminine to be able to go forward with more investment in what they're now moving into right now. For masculine, this is that moment that you are also experiencing that to some degree. This is either feminine energy that is effectively, you're recognizing, has not reached a point where they're going to be open and available to you. That there's something here that hasn't effectively been corrected. This feminine energy still feels like they have a lot of their guard up to you right now. And for some of the masculine energy right now, this is you effectively having to have a point of reconsideration in terms of, again, what you're potentially trying to give forth to some of that energy from the past, or having already made the accommodation point and immediately seeing the fact that it is leading to something more productive at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Wands. There's something to be spoken here that is causing a level or degree of commitment to be effectively stated right now for a lot of the energy trying to come towards feminine at this time. For the feminine energy, we are seeing that there's a moment right now. There could even be a moment where there's a lot of masculine energy trying to move towards you very quickly, even if you're starting to open up to them. And feminine energy is basically slowing everything down. Feminine energy is moving from a state where while they're coming into a space or place of being open and authentic, feminine energy is also effectively saying to the masculine energy, there's no need to rush things. There's no need to rush anything, because feminine energy is also trying to still, like, this is something that we're seeing that the feminine energy is effectively getting used to at this time. They're coming into this. This is just like the first time that we are seeing that the feminine energy is starting to feel like there is a point or degree of feeling like they can be their most authentic expression of self, coming out of that Venus in retrograde cycle that we just closed. The feminine energy is effectively saying right now that they're seeing, they want to see the proof in the pudding. And they want to see the proof in the pudding from masculine by seeing if they're able to sustain their own level of degree of commitment in terms of what they're trying to grow right now and what that's actually going to look like in the long-term potential, okay? For masculine that is working right now in partnership or union with feminine, you're identifying this. You're potentially recognizing and seeing this in the feminine energy. And this is the concession point that we saw that you had to effectively achieve right now to feel that level of degree of compromise for the feminine energy. Because again, this isn't necessarily the fact that masculine energy feels like something that they want to move to right now or do is being blocked by the feminine. For a lot of the energy that's in partnership right now, there's something very much coming into play about the state or space of timing or planning. We saw here that masculine energy was feeling very comfortable about circumstances or situations. Feminine energy required a level of degree of adaptability that was causing some feeling of frustration for masculine energy of partnership at this moment. But what we're really seeing here is the committed effort right now. In a way, what we're almost seeing right now is masculine energy is taking an immediate concession, and feminine energy is effectively also taking a concession in terms of the long-term approach. So this is where we see some of that compromise energy coming right now in partnership. In a way, everyone is getting their boxes checked, because we're seeing here that both masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now feel like they're getting the emotional support and they're getting the tangible that they need at this time. Feminine's getting it, I think, a little bit more faster. They're getting more of the immediate. Masculine, we saw some of that disappointment level, but that was leading them to that long-term future growth potential that they're effectively striving for at this time. Hence, masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now, moving in a way or space that feels like it is a long-term growth with a lot of intentionality put into it. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this potentially feels a little bit more frustrating for the masculine energy, because what we're really identifying at this time is the fact that while there may be this point or level of breakthrough that you're potentially feeling right now around some of the feminine energy that's around you, something about your own adaptability has allowed a level of degree of the feminine energy to be more open to you at this time. You are also recognizing that this openness does not mean rapidity as it relates to coming into partnership. There's something here about the feminine energy really wanting to take a lot of time and care right now as they move into partnership. Why? Because feminine energy just literally released some of the grief, some of the doubt, some of the fear. It was all coming through yesterday. That happened yesterday. The reason that you may be seeing some of this sea change in the feminine is because they're finally at this point where they're feeling more open to offers and opportunities. Masculine energy is like rushing forward, being like, yes, some point of success, some point of victory at this time. But at the same time, feminine energy is almost like slowing the masculine energy down and being like, let's take this by degrees. Let's take this. Let's see where this goes. And allowing something here to see if the feminine energy can stay in this vibration. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Knight of Swords, we love this. We love this. Ace of Cups and our Ace of Pentacles. Look at the cards that we have here on the table. A lot of vitality of action right now. I know we're in the midst of a bunch of retrograde, but this is looking very positive and productive right now for today as it relates to today's energy, especially for the masculine. There's a lot of activity that we see here as it relates to the masculine energy right now. Almost for the energy that's in partnership right now for masculine, this could be tackling a lot of things outside of partnership. That something about the partnership itself has been addressed, and it's giving you the confidence right now to move forward and do the other things that you need to do right now. For masculine and feminine energy that is not, and for feminine simultaneously, you're effectively in a state or space where you are concentrating on your own opportunities and your own sense of spiritual and emotional fulfillment right now. Feeling the level and degree of confidence and security in the partnership at this time, and also recognizing a masculine energy that is quick to help accommodate when you're feeling moments of anxiety. This is almost immediately giving the dividends back to the feminine energy at this time. Masculine and feminine energy not in partnership at this moment. This is going to feel like a little bit more of this could feel like a little bit more of a challenging space, because what we're really seeing here is feminine is opening up today. There's something here about feminine energy really feeling the power of being their most authentic expression of self, really doing this moment right now and coming into their own. Masculine is effectively seeing the feminine energy in this potentiality for today. They're either seeing some kind of change or accommodation or adjustment that's happened around this energy that is reinvigorating masculine's energy to move towards them even faster, because we're seeing here that masculine hasn't seen the feminine energy in this level and degree of openness or forthrightness in quite some time. There may be a little bit of a difference right now in terms of speed of this energy, because while feminine is just operating from a space of openness at this time, masculine is like rushing forth. So depending on how you feel about this type of energy, feminine, will depend on whether you feel like this is a positive or not. But there is something to be said about the fact that feminine sees need to accommodate for this. The fact that if this movement that the feminine is seeing right now is built upon the masculine energy making the accommodations that the feminine has been stating that they require right now to feel secure and stable. Feminine energy is almost taking this vote of movement as the sense of security, because it shows to a certain degree a masculine energy that is not only committing their own efforts towards driving towards the feminine right now, but the masculine energy that recognizes the fact that feminine energy also has emotional and spiritual stability and is also looking for tangible stability in partnership right now. And masculine energy is striving to show the feminine energy that they recognize this, and they're going to work very voraciously towards those points right now. For the masculine right now, this could be that sense of urgency that we're seeing right now as it relates to some partnership potential. If you're already doing this moment or having this point of coming into accommodation for the feminine right now, we're almost seeing that you're doing like, it's like that light bulb moment that you've been having coming out of the retrograde period is like zipping you forward to do everything possible right now to meet the feminine's needs in terms of what they require at this point as it relates to these things right now. Because you're seeing and experiencing right now the desire and degree of wanting to be in contact contact with this energy. You've seen the fact that the feminine energy has been kind of walled off and resistant to you in like not just past situations or circumstances right now, but even future circumstances or situations. There's a bit of a cloud break or a breakthrough that's happening today that is giving that masculine energy, that vitality as they go forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Eight of Cups in its reversal. What we're really identifying at this time for both masculine and feminine energy is this moment or this degree that feminine and masculine energy are effectively showing some way, shape, or form that they are not necessarily being able to come forward at this time in terms of wanting to move away from some things. There's something here about the feminine energy opening up to this degree that masculine is identifying as something that is showing them that this is a feminine energy that is not ready to move away from them. There's something here that masculine is identifying that this breakthrough moment has to do with any type of communication that they're receiving right now from the feminine that they've been trying to bring forward some offers to at this time. Because that is almost like that degree, that level of like recognition is like all the affirmation that masculine needs. They're like, that's all I need to know. I just need to know that there's something here that can be fixed, that there's something here that can be amended, that this isn't a state that you just kind of like moved away, that there's something here that you're still willing to try to like amend for or correct. That's what's creating this state or space right now of masculine moving with so much urgency. Because they're recognizing that potentially for the masculine, they're seeing the fact that the trepidation that they were feeling on the part of the feminine was feeling like the feminine energy was effectively lost to them to a certain degree. This is them feeling like, oh no, they're not. They're still here. I just need to support this energy as much as possible to let them know that I am still here as well. For feminine energy right now, this is still a moment that we see here, that there is something that still feels like a little bit of a blocker. As we are identifying right now for the energy that's not in partnership, feminine is just starting to come out of their shell right now from the work that occurred during the Venus in retrograde cycle. They're just starting to feel that they can be their most authentic expression of self. They're just starting to release any of the grief or the doubt or the uncertainty from the past that they've been carrying that has been limiting or blocking them to coming into deeper partnership at this time. And there's something here from the feminine that there is still like this little bit of resistance point. But they're seeing the fact that the masculine energy right now is doing everything they can to effectively support them in very substantial ways and very emotionally fulfilling ways. And this is helping the feminine energy move with greater confidence into new partnership possibilities, recognizing that this path is ahead. There's still some resistance, there's still some uncertainty, but the feminine energy is seeing the fact that the masculine energy is actively working to accommodate and adjust for any of those doubts and fears. For the other part of the feminine energy, if you weren't experiencing this, this is why you're releasing that energy at this time, which is allowing for new opportunities of masculine to come forth that are respecting and appreciating these needs above others. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is potentially this recommitment right now to the partnership itself. There is something here that you may be putting a lot of time and energy right now in practical efforts right now towards situations or circumstances that you may be feeling are creating a little bit of a roadblock for you, masculine and feminine energy. And this might not necessarily even have to do anything with the partnership itself. It could have a lot to do with some outside or external issues that you feel you may need to address right now. Because what we're really seeing right now is that the relationship itself is potentially in enough of a point of easement that you can concentrate your time and effort and energy into outside situations and possibilities. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between this beautiful energy of Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, and our Seven of Pentacles. So again, a lot of this encouragement right now for masculine and feminine energy, regardless of whether you're in partnership or not in partnership at this moment, a lot of renewed interest in the care and support of the self. Working through right now, working on building new opportunities for yourself at this moment might not necessarily even be related to partnership right now. This could have to do with like a lot of focus right now on tangible things that are offering opportunities to you at this time, or that you're trying to commit your effort and energy to at this point, with also this ability and degree of understanding and recognizing that you're trying to build something that is going to grow going forward from this point. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Empress in its reversal. Now, this is a little bit interesting here because what we're actually seeing is there is something here to a certain degree that the feminine energies, heart space, is still a little closed off. This is some of that work that we were identifying. You will recognize, and I need to stress this is a feminine energy that just released, that just started coming into the deep release process of shedding a lot of these doubts and fears right now. The feminine energy is still holding their heart space a little closed off. They're still moving with a care and degree of trepidation here. But feminine energy, and this is what we appreciate about it, feminine energy is effectively doing work to correct for that. Feminine energy recognizes that there's something about that is only going to have one point of success, and that's time. Time is going to lead the feminine energy into a space of having their heart open again. Feminine energy is being very potentially authentic and open right now in terms of where all energy is finding them at this moment. If this is feminine energy leaving themselves open to opportunities from the past that have shown some ability of adaptability as it relates to what they're offering and the level of stability that they can provide at this moment, feminine energy is potentially even articulating to this energy their own doubts and fears, the caution of opening up their heart again. Even for new energy of feminine moving right now towards partnership with masculine, there could be a lot of articulation that is being given right now to where the feminine energy's trepidation is coming from in opening up their heart space. This is something that feminine's doing on both fronts right now. But feminine energy is also slowing things down, trying to take this process slow right now to identify the situation of recognizing that, again, feminine recognized that there, as you will recall, I said that feminine needed to take a little bit of a risk. Feminine recognize right now that there's no possibility of partnership that isn't going to require a level or degree of risk in this area. Feminine's effectively recognizing that right now. Feminine is finding the solution by moving forward as slowly and carefully as possible, letting things grow at the state and the pace that feminine feels comfortable with, rather than on someone else's timeline. That is what's fortifying the feminine energy that's feeling any of these doubts and fears at this moment. Even for the energy that is in partnership right now. So even with the feminine right now that's in partnership, there is some moment right now of still kind of coming into a state of healing. Feminine energy could be working right now on their own healing journey, even if you're in partnership at this moment. But you are also recognizing that there's some work here that is going to require a level and degree of time. For masculine, this is potentially, if you're in partnership right now, you are potentially also seeing and recognizing this right now in the feminine energy that is around you. There is potentially something about the feminine energy having to articulate about their own doubts and fears at this time. But we also see the fact that you're immediately coming through with tangible stability offers and emotional support, allowing for that possibility and recognition that time will effectively solve something right now, right? Confirming the fact that you guys are building on that path to the long-term point of success. Thank you for the gift. This is also reaffirming the feminine energy's own doubts and fears at this moment. For masculine and feminine energy not in partnership at this time, this is a little bit more of that challenging space, because masculine, while you may be feeling this moment of invigoration of a feminine energy being very open and honest to you at this time, there is something here that you recognize that the feminine energy's own heart space may still effectively be closed off to you at this moment. However, you're also recognizing right now the fact that this entry point, this ability of the feminine energy being accessible and available to you in this way, is what is also creating this moment that feels like it is one that is built upon opportunity. Because we see here that you're recognizing that there's something here that you feel that you can also solve with time and support and tangible stability that you're bringing into these circumstances and situations. For feminine, this is still looking at these situations with a point of deep caution, but you're making these choices for yourself, and you're only allowing yourself to move forward to the state and space that you feel comfortable doing at this time. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, between our I believe it was our 7 of Pentacles in combination with our 10 of Wands energy. Look at this slowness. Remember that slow turtle night that we saw the other day coming through? The masculine energy recognizing that they need to come forward with an offer in a very slow, stable, supportive way. This is the commitment to that degree. For masculine energy that's coming forward in this fashion, there's potentially a feeling that feels a little bit like a stop-start, because while there is something here that makes you want to like rush forward right now to feminine, you know, you're feeling that energetic point, potentially if you're not in partnership, because the feminine energy is opening up to you in this way. You're also recognizing that there's something here that needs to be grown back very slowly. There's something here that's going to require a lot of time. This is you potentially committing your effort to that amount of time that it's going to take. For some of you right now, this is that moment or opportunity that you may be allowing this a degree of even a point of closure in terms of recognizing where you find some of this energy right now and effectively feeling the satisfaction of that as you move forward from this point, kind of identifying and recognizing, at least now with an understanding of where that energy is that you are trying to go forward towards right now. For feminine energy right now, this is that moment that is really saying that while feminine energy is coming into a space where they're becoming more open and available to offers and partnerships again, there's also something here that feminine is doing it at a slow speed. Something here is about planting those seeds, giving things time to evolve. Feminine energy is willing to take that time because feminine energy considers this is not an act of falling into something or flying into something. This is something that they're moving into with a lot of steadiness and intentionality. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, this is that dual combination effort that you're seeing and you're committing yourself and your energies to, not just planting the seeds right now for the long-term growth potential. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love this. Look at this double 10 card energy that we're seeing here. Productive spaces with productive work. This is feeling right now almost the active harmony right now of some of the energy that's around you at this time. Almost immediately seeing the tangible results in terms of the commitment and the level of commitment that you're putting towards these spaces and places right now. It's almost this level of degree of commitment is already leading to some sense of productivity. Feeling the productivity around you right now. Today, for the energies that's in partnership, potentially not even a lot of concentration on the partnership itself, but in building a lot towards the energy around you and the productive spaces and places that you're creating around yourselves at this moment. A lot of concentration right now on your immediate sphere of influence to be able to plant those seeds right now to help set the path for the rest of the year ahead. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is also talking about a lot of productive energy that is coming forward from this point. There could even be, I need to stress, there could even be a lot of resolution that is potentially coming right now in some partnership energy. If it's from the past, potentially even identifying where you're leaving or found that partnership that's creating a point of easement going forward. This might not necessarily even result in something that feels like partnership of two people coming back together in a romantic way, but being able to identify and understand where you both are at this time that is allowing some point of closure that feels like it's leading to something productive going forward, okay? Now, for other parts of the energy right now, this is that commitment and renewal energy that we're seeing in some of these old partnerships because there's been enough adaptability to allow for the feminine energy to feel like they are confident in trying to go forward from this point. But even in those situations and circumstances, this is going to be slow. There's something here to recognize that this is not a feminine energy that's falling back into these relationships quickly. They're really trying to do it in a very slow way to ensure their own level or degree of confidence that the changes have actually been occurring. For masculine, this is effectively identifying this right now with feminine energy. And this is also leading you to some sense of feeling like there is something productive that can be grown here. Either, again, either with a romantic potential towards some of these partnerships of the past, or feeling like you're very confident in where you're leaving some things as you go forward from this point. For the energy that's in partnership, this is just a lot of this outside possibility and potential that you're putting right now because you feel like you have the path laid ahead of you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. This is like, these are our blockers right now. These are our blockers here. We've got here our 8 of Cups in its reversal in combination with the Empress energy. The problem that's occurring right now is while feminine energy is becoming more articulate, they're becoming more authentic, they're starting to feel more comfortable with coming into partnership with masculine again. There is something still here about the feminine energy's own heart space feeling a little closed off to a degree. This is still requiring some of that internal work that the feminine is experiencing around some situations or the circumstances from the past that may have effectively became blockers for them prior to this point. Feminine energy may even be articulating to the masculine energy where they are finding them at this moment to help them better understand why the feminine energy is feeling this level of degree of hesitancy at this time. But that authenticity is being utilized right now to help the masculine energy effectively either understand that feminine energy is articulating to them that they don't feel like there is a productive path forward here because the feminine energy's anxieties and degrees in terms of romantic partnership are too great at this point to allow for something like this to come into a state of easement. But we're almost seeing here that if that were to be occurring, there's something here about trying to build something up in the wake of that romantic partnership not coming into fruition at this time, hence moving into something that feels like more of potentially a friendship or a social interaction. While for the other part of the feminine collective at this time, this is articulating where the masculine energy is finding you at this moment to further enhance why your own trepidation is necessary. This could be a lot of explaining or opening up to the masculine as to where they find yourself or what's been going on with you that has led you to be in this point that you feel somewhat closed off emotionally at this time. For masculine, this is effectively identifying this right now in the feminine energy that's around you at this moment, this sense of being closed off, this sense of kind of holding back to a certain degree. You're also seeing the fact that there is a blocker here. For some of the masculine energy, you're going to effectively recognize and identify right now that this is a hurdle that effectively cannot be breached. That there's something here that you may be seeing that while you may desire to come into a point of correction, some of this feminine energy is effectively having to tell you right now that they're choosing their own health, their own sense of emotional and spiritual stability right now versus what you're offering them. Because again, we identified that feminine energy was balancing between the grief of something that was carrying too much pain versus the opportunity. Or for the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is an articulation point to see if the masculine energy can come into a state of easement to help further this emotional blockage that they are experiencing. Feminine is also saying that there's something here that may even just require a state or space of saying, if they're open to this, that time will effectively have to be the judge. Even the masculine energy right now that's going through this right now with feminine, there could be an identification point right now around the feminine energy that you're in partnership with that shows the fact that feminine energy is bearing a little bit more of this doubt and fear today. But we also see the fact that you're giving them a lot of support as they navigate some of these hurdles. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out to clarify right now. We like these two cards coming out in this combination because you'll recall this bad boy was upright the other day. This one continues to show up in its reversal. There's some situations or circumstances right now. This is a moment of vulnerability. This is a moment of vulnerability that's coming through right now, but I need to stress that that moment of vulnerability that's coming through right now is to come into a state of easement. If there are fears that are being indicated right now, it's to help try to come into a remediation point on those fears. And there's almost a point of easement. For feminine right now, this is coming into that point of easement. It's almost potentially going to feel like some of that relief or that release that we saw yesterday coming into tangible, practical application today, because feminine energy is being very open and authentic on where the masculine energy is finding them at this moment. And being able to be, for the feminine, being able to be in that state or place where you are vulnerable to this capacity is what creates that moment of easement, because that vulnerability is proving to you that these are spaces and places that you feel that you can be safe, being your most authentic, vulnerable expression of self around. That is proving to you that this is effectively a safe space. For some of the feminine energy right now, there is a moment that even identifying where you are right now emotionally to some of this masculine energy is proving to you whether that is something that is going to be possible at this point. Because we're seeing here that for some of this feminine energy, especially if this is energy that's coming towards you from the past and you can't override the amount of grief something's carrying right now versus the level and space of productivity, you're kind of watching and waiting to see how this energy effectively takes that. If there's still something there that can be maintained, or if this energy was just coming from a state or place of like serving their own purposes at this time. Feminine energy is, again, keeping this as a moment of, again, holding their heart space away from something to a little bit. They're still leaving the verdict out in terms of whether it's safe to trust some situations and circumstances right now. They're being more open to it. Open to the possibility of something being there. For some of the energy right now, this is not even coming through to a certain degree like a romantic partnership at this point. This be kind of like having to put someone in a space or place of saying like, my own doubts prevent this, but let's see what we can find that's productive here at this time. This is coming through right now, or for the other energy right now, this is doing that to a certain level and degree and saying, continuing to articulate upon your anxiety points to see if the relief is still being shown. Masculine energy right now, there is this moment that is challenging you because this is that moment. And again, we keep seeing that this is the boundary line for some of the masculine energy right now. Feminine energy is requiring the masculine energy to be open and vulnerable. Feminine energy is effectively seeing if masculine energy has learned this capacity of doing so. Because feminine energy recognizes that they're looking for masculine energy that is willing to meet their own level and degree of vulnerability at this time. Masculine energy, if you're being vulnerable to this degree, if you're opening up into feminine in this way, it's almost immediately creating a sense of relief. You're getting that level and degree of relief. You're potentially seeing that level and degree in the relief and the feminine being open and kind to you. And so it feels like a point of catharsis. There's a lot of catharsis that's effectively coming through right now, even for the energies not in partnership at this moment. Because it's leading for some protective understanding that's going to help you go forward from this point. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is that moment of being in a space or place where you can be your most vulnerable, authentic expression of self, even when it's messy, and feeling like you're immediately getting the support you need to help you through any of these hurdles and challenges. Particularly right now for feminine energy that may be expressing these doubts and the griefs, and seeing almost the immediate result of masculine energy and partnership being able to work to try to alleviate that instead of exacerbate it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Empress in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Pentacles. Beautiful energy that we are seeing here right now, because what we're really identifying right now is feminine energy is still working right now through some difficulties or hurdles in the heart space. Feminine energy is coming into a space or place of feeling that they're shedding enough of this grief and fear to be their most authentic expression of self, but their heart may still be feeling a little closed off at this time. They're still holding their heart space a little bit separate, because you have to bear in mind, this is release and relief and grief that they're just learning now to relinquish. Focusing right now on the support of the positive environment around them as they do so. So for the energy, specifically for the feminine energy that's not in partnership at this time, this could be expressing a lot of these doubts and fears to the energy around you, and almost immediately seeing the support in terms of you articulating where you are at this time. And it might not necessarily just be to that energy itself, but to all the energy around you right now. This could even be feminine energy trying to get some level or degree of advice as to what they're experiencing right now or what's coming towards them right now from masculine, from those around them, to see where they fall on it, to reaffirm the feminine energy's own uncertainty or indecisiveness or anxiety as it relates to some of the potentiality here. Okay? For masculine, this is effectively the opposite happening, the same happening, that again, you're seeing some of this level or degree of hesitancy around some of the feminine energy that's around you at this time. And you are also trying to get some advice at this time in terms of what you think you could potentially do to allow for this to be a point of support and correction at this moment. Masculine, thank you for the gift, and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time, this is effectively trying to work through these hurdles together. Feminine energy could still be working right now in terms of telling the masculine energy their own doubts, their own fears. Masculine is effectively a little less concerned with that right now, but is building a set level or degree of like just trying to create a supportive environment for the feminine as they kind of pursue their own goals and paths at this time. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit in its reversal. Again, this card is coming up like hotcakes. I swear, we've gotten this card in this position like 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row. So again, what is the major overarching problem right now for the energy that is in partnership or union? Okay? It still has to do with the fact that there is, and again, we keep seeing this because this isn't a problem that has been fixed. It's a problem that needs to be mitigated for in the present. You'll see the fact that this was something that effectively had to be pushed out further into the future. Okay? There is some frustration here. Either around, and I need to stress, this can be other circumstances. This can either be issues around like immediate travel plans that need to be reconsidered, or this is in partnership right now. Situations or circumstances where there is not an ability to find the need for solitude that is potentially required to do the things that you need to do right now most effectively. This is more of that conversation right now that we're effectively seeing. Because again, we've been identifying that there's something here that again has to do with comfort level. Okay? So do you recall how I said that even yesterday in partnership, there was something about masculine energy trying to come up with new ideas, new opportunities? We're not seeing the fact that that's not completely off the table here. That could still be effectively happening to a little bit of degree here. But again, there's something here that feminine energy is just kind of trying to navigate it to a certain extent. Right? We're just seeing the fact that that's something that the feminine is just trying to kind of address right now. Because here we are seeing that feminine energy is also potentially seeing some frustration point in something that doesn't feel ideal at this moment, but they want to come into a state or plate of easement on. Feminine energy, I may even articulate upon, this could be speaking right now to feminine energy having some issues as it relates to some travels or plans right now that may come into play. So if you've got some plans for travel, this is very retrograde energy. I would make sure that you double check them right now, okay? For masculine energy right now, this is potentially effectively helping some feminine energy that's in this modality right now. But there's also something here that is coming through that feels, again, like a moment that is creating a bit of a hurdle and difficulty for masculine right now. Because while we see that the feminine energy is in a space where they may have some emotional needs at this time, they may be rubbing against the masculine's own need for solitude in this moment, even in the realms of positive, productive, unified partnership. There could be a lot right now in terms of having some kind of disruption point around social engagements, social obligations that are potentially causing some of these issues as well. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is still feeling like a lot of frustration as it relates to some level of degree of isolation. Because what's happening at this moment is we see the fact that feminine is effectively slowing things down. They're pushing things out to like a longer timeline. That's also, the problem with that is that's also creating a space or place where feminine still feels somewhat like they're going through this moment of self-isolation. But feminine energy is doing everything that they effectively can right now to be as productive as possible as they do that, almost trying to distract themselves from the situation and circumstance as they deal with some situations with masculine that they recognize that they don't want to rush forward on. For masculine right now, this is feeling like a point of frustration because while the feminine energy may be in communication or contact with you at this moment, there is something here that feels like there is still an emotional hurdle that it needs to be overcome. You're potentially even trying to get some insight in this area, hence some of that discussion energy that we're seeing right now in terms of where you may find yourself at this moment to help identify and articulate where you stand with some of this feminine energy. Because for some of the masculine right now, this is some of that level or degree of frustration that you may be feeling right now, because for some of the energy around you right now that you're trying to bring offers to at this point, masculine, feminine energy may be articulating to you their own inability to open their heart space to you at this moment. But they're looking for something productive in the wake of that. And that could also be feeling doubly frustrating right now, masculine, because it's leading to further feelings of self-isolation. You are also trying to find a point of easement on that right now by concentrating on your own level and degree of productivity at this time. Continuing to get clarification, final card for today's spread between, just bear with me one moment, between our Strength card in its reversal and our Nine of Swords in its reversal and our Hermit in its reversal. So what are we really seeing here? We are seeing here, this is a little bit frustrating, okay? It is coming through as a little bit frustrating because what we're really identifying at this moment is there are some situations, and it's going to feel, again, some of that bittersweet energy that we saw over the last few days, that while there are some circumstances or situations that are challenging your own sense of vulnerability at this time, this will be easier for feminine to bear as opposed to masculine. Feminine's better at being in this space of vulnerability. There's almost a point of easement that is also happening. There's some sense of relief that is coming to circumstances and situations at this time. For feminine, this is releasing a lot of that trauma that you've been carrying up until this point, potentially even articulating upon it to either build a point of reconnection or to build a point of a new connection, of saying to someone something can't be what it was, but you're creating something that feels more productive in the space in between. But for both energies, right, and for masculine, also getting that sense of understanding and relief. For both energies right now, there is this moment that could be feeling a bit self-isolating at this time, because again, feminine energy is moving into a space of either coming into new partnerships that haven't built or been established yet. They're kind of still in their fledgling space. This is also leading to a degree of self-isolation because feminine energy is moving very slow in these, even against their own desire to do so. Hence some of this self-isolation coming into play. For masculine right now, this is either a moment that you're recognizing the new energy is moving very slowly in this degree and it's requiring more of this self-isolation, even though you're feeling the relief of recognizing that there is a path forward, or you're being recalibrated into a space or place that you are recognizing where this energy needs to find you at this time. You're feeling the relief of understanding, but it's also creating more of this sense of self-isolation. It's requiring you to be in a space or place that feels very vulnerable. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time, there is a sense of relief coming in today. And while there is this sense or degree of vulnerability that's coming through right now, there are some anxieties and issues right now in terms of some feelings of isolation. This is unproductive isolation. So this is either coming through right now as a frustration point in terms of not being able to find the solitude that one potentially requires right now in partnership. Some of that accommodation that we see that may have needed to be reached over the last few days, or potentially having some moments that are creating some point of frustration, potentially even as it relates to planning right now. But again, still feeling some support and release as you navigate some of these hurdles. May I please have the final card for today's spread? Three of Pentacles in its reversal. This is new ground. There's something here that hasn't been done before. There are new approaches that are being taken. And I love to see this card coming through right now as it relates to the final card today, because what this is really articulating upon is there's a moment of just recognizing that this is new ground that is effectively being created at this time. And it's going to take new approaches. For the feminine and masculine energy that's working through this right now, this is potentially coming through any obstacles with the recognition that like something isn't perfect when you just start trying to do it for the first time. So if this is any of the accommodations or the ideas or the adjustments that are coming into play right now to create a state of easement, there's something here about like building something that's going to feel easier going forward, that takes a little bit of time to get like the hang of as you proceed forward from this point. This is like new ground and new territory, and you're being mutually accommodating to each other as you brace these challenges and hurdles. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that's not in partnership, this is feeling some of the frustration of something that is just coming off the ground. Either for the old partnerships that are coming back into partnership, we still see here that there's a lot of slowness and trepidation that's occurring on these right now that is requiring a level of degree of time and consideration, and it's creating a lot of vulnerability, but even a sense of easement because there's a recognition that something is being rebuilt at this moment. For the new partnerships right now, there is simultaneously a moment that there's something that is being potentially built here, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some energy. It's not something that's going to be built overnight. And so there is that level of degree of slowness that's requiring a degree of vulnerability, but it's also bringing in a sense of release and relief. Bottom of the deck of today's reading today is Magician in its reversal. Sometimes when things are moving so slowly, the anxiety comes into play about whether they're occurring at all. There's something here right now that feels like it is a bit counterproductive as it relates to what both energies would ideally desire to do right now versus what they are actually doing. For masculine, we see the fact that there's something about this right now that masculine would really like to move forward in a lot more of a fast way that feminine feels comfortable with at this time. Feminine energy is showing a level or degree of being of this same, I need to stress this. This is what's so frustrating for the feminine. For feminine, it's not the fact that feminine energy doesn't want to rush this as well. Feminine energy is just taking the accountability of the trauma from the past, putting it into practical application to make sure that they are not repeating the mistakes of the past that may have resulted in throwing themselves into things too quickly. So for both energies right now, this is actually feeling like a compromise, because even while the masculine energy may be feeling like they're the ones making the compromise for the feminine, you might not necessarily recognize, masculine, that the feminine is also making a compromise here. This isn't necessarily what feminine would ideally like to do either, but thus this is where you find the feminine energy. Feminine energy is having to force themselves to slow down for the sake of preserving the healing that has been required, that has resulted in them reaching this point. It's not the fact that you both don't want the same thing. It's that one is being a hell of a lot more cautious about it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website. Thank you for the gift, graystrega.com. Please remember, if you book that on my website, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Please keep in mind as well, most importantly, that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never PM you. I will never inbox you. I will never slide into your DMs and say, greetings and salutations. I've got a very important message to deliver. The only way that you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So please do it over there. I want to thank you guys so much for having this reading with me today, and we will do this again